My name is Maya. I am 28 years old. I live in a small apartment with my parents and my younger sister, Lena. We have always been close as a family. We eat dinner together every night. We talk about work, about friends, about small daily things. Lena and I are very different. She is confident. She laughs loudly. People notice her when she enters a room. I am quieter. I do not like too much attention. I prefer listening instead of speaking. At school, teachers often compared us. Lena is so outgoing, they would say. Maya is very calm. I used to smile when I heard that. But inside, I always felt like I was standing in someone else's shadow. Lena never tried to compete with me. She was simply herself, bright, charming, easy to love, and I was the serious one, the careful one. I never thought that one day our differences would break my heart. I met Daniel at a friend's birthday party. I almost did not go that night. I was tired from work, but Lena convinced me. "Come on," she said. "You need some fun." At the party, the music was loud and people were laughing. I stood near the balcony, enjoying the fresh air. That is when Daniel came to stand beside me. "Too noisy inside?" he asked with a small smile. I nodded. "A little." He laughed softly. "I thought I was the only one who needed quiet." We started talking. At first it was simple conversation, work, movies, books, but he listened carefully when I spoke. He looked at me, not at his phone, not at other people. It felt different. Most men at parties talked to Lena first. She was easy to notice. But Daniel stood next to me. Before leaving, he asked for my number. When he texted me later that night, my heart beat fast. For the first time, I felt chosen. Not compared, not ignored. Chosen. Daniel and I began texting every day. Good morning messages, late night conversations, small jokes that only we understood. We met for coffee on weekends. We walked in the park. Sometimes we just sat and talked for hours. With him, I felt safe. He asked about my dreams. He wanted to know what made me happy. No one had asked me that in a long time. I told him I wanted to travel one day. I wanted to write. I wanted to build a life that felt meaningful. He listened carefully. "You are deeper than people think," he once said. Those words stayed in my mind. I began imagining a future with him. I imagined introducing him properly to my family. I imagined us laughing together at dinner. I imagined feeling secure. But sometimes a small fear appeared. Daniel was charming. He was confident. He could talk easily to anyone. What if he noticed Lena more? I pushed that thought away. He chose me, I told myself. He sees me. And for the first time in my life, I believed someone truly did. After a few weeks, I decided it was time. I invited Daniel to dinner at my home. I felt nervous, but excited. This was important. If he fit into my family, then maybe this relationship was real. When he arrived, Lena opened the door. "Hi," she said brightly. "You must be Daniel." He smiled. "And you must be the famous sister." They laughed. Something inside me felt tight. At dinner, Daniel was polite to my parents. He complimented my mother's cooking. My father liked him immediately, but I noticed something else. Daniel laughed more when Lena spoke. He looked at her longer. He asked her questions about her job, her hobbies, her plans. Lena was relaxed, confident, shining as always. I told myself I was imagining things. He was just being friendly. That was his personality. Still, when Lena made a joke and Daniel leaned back laughing, I felt small. I had wanted him to see my world. Instead, it felt like my world was suddenly brighter for him, but not because of me. That night, when he left, he kissed my forehead and said, "Your family is amazing." I smiled, but for the first time, a quiet doubt entered my heart. After that dinner, something changed. At first, it was small. Daniel replied to my messages later than usual. He said he was busy. He canceled one of our coffee plans. I told myself not to overthink. But then Lena mentioned him casually. "Oh, Daniel sent me a funny video today," she said one afternoon. I looked at her. "You're texting?" She shrugged. "Just sometimes. He asked about a movie I recommended." My stomach tightened. Why didn't he tell me? Days passed, and the distance grew. When I talked to Daniel, he seemed distracted. His replies were shorter. His tone was different. One evening, I heard Lena laughing in her room. Through the thin wall, I heard Daniel's voice on speaker. My chest felt heavy. I did not want to be jealous. Lena was my sister. I trusted her, but something felt wrong. When I asked Daniel about it later, he said, "Relax, Maya. We're just friends." Just friends. The words sounded simple, but they did not calm me. For the first time, I felt like I was standing outside my own relationship, watching it slowly slip away. The truth came on a quiet Saturday afternoon. I was looking for my charger in Lena's room while she was out. Her phone buzzed on the desk. I did not mean to look, but Daniel's name appeared on the screen. My heart stopped. The message was short. "I need to talk to you about us." My hands trembled. I waited for Lena to return. When she walked in, I held the phone up. "What is this?" I asked softly. Her face turned pale. "Maya, it's not what you think." I felt cold. That evening, I called Daniel and asked him to meet me. We sat in the same park where we used to laugh together. He avoided my eyes. "I didn't plan this," he said quietly. "Plan what?" I asked, though I already knew. He sighed. "My feelings changed." The words cut deeply. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he continued. "It just happened." "It just happened?" I repeated. He looked guilty but not confused. "I think I have feelings for Lena." The world felt silent. In that moment, I understood something painful. He had chosen, and it wasn't me. The next evening, Lena came to my room. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. "Maya, we need to talk," she said softly. I already knew. Daniel stood behind her in the hallway. He did not come inside. Lena sat on my bed. She looked nervous, something I had never seen before. "We didn't mean to hurt you," she said. "It just happened." Those words again. "It just happened," I repeated quietly. Daniel finally spoke from the doorway. "I care about you, Maya. I always will. But my feelings changed. Changed. Like I was a season. Like I was temporary. I felt my face burning, not only from sadness, but from humiliation. This was my sister, my family, my home, and now I was the extra person in my own story. "I hope you can understand," Lena whispered. "Understand?" I looked at both of them. He had chosen her, and she had chosen him. In that moment, I felt something break inside me. Not just my heart, but my trust. After that night, the house felt different. Quieter. My parents knew something was wrong. They tried not to ask too many questions, but they could see the distance between us. At dinner, Lena avoided my eyes. Daniel stopped coming over for a while. but everyone knew. The air was heavy with unspoken words. My mother once said softly, "These things happen. You girls must stay united." United. I wanted to laugh at the word. How could we be united when I felt replaced? I started spending more time in my room. I wore headphones even when no music was playing. I did not want to hear them talking. I did not want to imagine them together. Jealousy burned inside me, not only because I lost him, but because he chose her. I felt ashamed for feeling this way. She was my sister, but I could not control the anger. I smiled in front of my parents. I acted normal, but inside I felt invisible, like I had been erased from my own life. Nights were the hardest. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, asking the same question. Why not me? Was I too quiet, too simple, not exciting enough? I began comparing myself to Lena in everything. Her laugh was louder, her confidence stronger, her personality brighter. Maybe Daniel needed someone like her. Maybe I was never enough. That thought slowly destroyed my confidence. At work, I felt distracted. I made small mistakes. I stopped looking at myself in the mirror. One evening, I stood in front of that mirror and whispered, "What is wrong with you?" Tears filled my eyes. I realized I had built my self-worth around one person's choice, and that choice was not me. For the first time, I saw how fragile my confidence had been. I had believed I was finally chosen, but maybe I had only borrowed someone else's attention. That night, I cried harder than I ever had before. Not just because I lost him, but because I felt like I had lost myself. Time has a quiet way of clearing the mind. A few weeks after everything happened, my tears became less frequent. The pain was still there, but it was not as sharp. I began to think more calmly. I remembered small moments I had ignored. The way Daniel avoided serious conversations, the way he enjoyed attention from everyone, the way he needed admiration. I had seen those signs, but I chose not to question them. I wanted to be loved so badly that I ignored what was right in front of me. Slowly, I understood something important. If his feelings could change so easily, then they were never strong. Love does not move from one sister to another in a few weeks. That is not love. That is confusion. I also noticed something else. Lena was not as confident as she looked. I saw her checking her phone constantly. I saw the worry in her eyes. Maybe she was afraid too. For the first time, I stopped asking, "Why not me?" Instead, I asked, "Why would I want someone who could replace me so easily?" That question changed everything. Once I stopped blaming myself, something inside me began to grow. I decided to focus on my work again. I stayed late at the office. I volunteered for new projects. I signed up for an online writing course, something I had always wanted to try. Little by little, I felt stronger. I bought new clothes. I changed my hairstyle. Not to impress anyone, but to remind myself that I could change too. Most importantly, I stopped comparing myself to Lena. We were different. Different did not mean less. Her brightness was not my weakness. My calm nature was not a flaw. It was simply who I was. One evening, I looked in the mirror again. This time I did not ask what was wrong with me. I saw a woman who had survived heartbreak inside her own home. A woman who had learned something painful but powerful. I was not second choice. I was simply with the wrong person. And that realization gave me peace. 2 months later, I heard raised voices in the living room. Lena and Daniel were arguing. I did not mean to listen, but their words were clear. "You still talk about her," Lena said angrily. "That's not true," Daniel replied. The door closed loudly. The next morning, Lena told my parents they were taking a break. A week later, they broke up. I felt many emotions: relief, sadness, and something else. Clarity. That evening, my phone buzzed. Daniel. "I made a mistake," the message said. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Months ago, I would have answered immediately. Now, I felt different. I had rebuilt something inside myself, and I was not willing to lose it again. I finally replied to Daniel. "Okay," I wrote, "we can talk." We met at the same park where he once told me his feelings had changed. This time, I felt different. He looked tired, less confident. "I was confused," he said. "I didn't realize what I had until I lost it. I miss you." I listened quietly. Months ago, those words would have healed me. Now they sounded empty. "You didn't lose me," I said calmly. "You chose someone else." He looked down. "I made a mistake." I shook my head gently. "No, you made a choice." For the first time, I did not feel small standing in front of him. "I deserve someone who is sure," I continued, "not someone who changes his mind." He tried to speak again, but I stood up. "I forgive you," I said softly, "but I won't go back." And as I walked away, I realized something powerful. I was no longer second choice. I was choosing myself. Looking back, I understand something clearly. Rejection can hurt deeply, but sometimes rejection protects you. Not everyone who leaves your life is a loss. Some people leave to make space for someone better, or for a stronger version of yourself. I learned that love should never make you feel replaceable, and self-respect is more important than being chosen. If you enjoyed this emotional English story, please like, comment, and share. Subscribe to AcademiaBees for more Level 3 English stories to improve your listening and vocabulary. See you in the next story.